Hello everyone, hope all are doing well. Again, I am there for you all with this online module. In this English online class, we are going to take a new poem of your text, that is Childhood by Marcus Nathan. Dear students, I am having my text and I want you all to look up into your book or your online PDF file that you have. Always remember, for English it is important to have a text with you and enjoy the poem, learn it, read it and recite it also. As we are all meeting every week with a new topic, I hope you all are able to cover your notes. If any doubt you have in our previous lectures or previous topics, let me know during the doubt session. We can help you in achieving your set goals. So let's enjoy today's learning with the poem Childhood, written by Marcus Nathan. So dear students, Marcus Nathan was an Australian poet. He wrote many poems and novels. In his famous work Thief and the Messenger is one of his famous works, and in this poem he came out to be a very new and interesting idea that where the childhood has gone. He had given us the ample number of questions, and he actually threw lot of questions in front of the readers to think and to look back to their own childhood, that when they found that their childhood has lost and gone. So let's discuss about childhood first. What do you think childhood is? Yes, I know all of you have different definitions and your theories about your childhood. One important word which we relate with the childhood is innocence. Innocence is one of the word that defines childhood. Childhood is when we are so innocent to understand the politics and hypocrisy and rationalism of this world. We are away from all the dirt. We are away from all those kind of individualities that creates lot of complexities in the world. So for us, childhood means a very heavenly, imaginary thing. We are all attached with our imaginations. We are all attached with unconditional love. That's very important here. For us, during the childhood, we all feel that love is unconditional. Love doesn't have any barriers. Love is very pious thing for a child. But as we grow up, we develop lot of complexities, doubts, dilemmas, and that makes our thinking also little bit polluted or contaminated. So let's see what the author wants to say us. I am reading one paragraph for you, and then I will give you the explanation. So in the beginning he says that when did my childhood go? That's a question mark again. Was it the day I ceased to be 11? Was it the time I realized that hell and heaven could not be found in geography and therefore could not be was that the day? So here very definingly we have Marcus Nathan asking the readers the question, a prominent question he threw, that when did my childhood go? So he wanted to know the time, that when exactly he left his time. So he wonders about that the childhood has gone and it's no more in his life. And also the poet is wondering, he is in astonishing state, and then he says, was it the day I ceased to be 11? So he goes on that biological age figure, that he says probably it was when I have crossed my age, that is 11, when I crossed my 11 and I became more mature. I mean, I was stepping into teenage. Probably that was the age when I had lost my childhood. Was it the time I realized that hell and heaven? Now, very important. A child has a lot of questions and inquisitiveness in his mind. He is known for his curiosity. When you go to a child and you ask any of the questions regarding the birth and death, they are always very unclear. They are always very much surprisingly telling you different kind of stories that they have heard from their elders. So here, for them, the concept of hell and heaven is very new for a child. So he says, the poet says here further that probably it was a time when he realized that these kind of works and karmas are related to hell, and these particular things are related to heaven. So when he says that when my childhood has gone, I was able to distinguish between the bad things and the good things, hell and heaven. So that is how I gathered the maturity. I gathered little bit reality. I was very much real then when I crossed 11, and probably that was the age when I have lost my childhood. Further, he says, could not be found in geography. So I have actually, people tell me that this is hell and heaven, but when I searched my geography books and in my atlas, I couldn't able to mark these places where is the hell and where is the heaven, and therefore could not be was that the day. So I was unable to find hell and heaven in my childhood, but I realized with the time that these are hell and heaven. So probably that was the day when I realized this concept well. That was the day I lost my childhood. Further, he says in the second paragraph, when did my childhood go? Again, this particular line is repeating. Now here I am going to tell you one important thing about the figure of speech that you all have to know about it. See, certain lines in the poem, if it is repeating every time after a short duration, it is known as refrain. Okay, so what is refrain? Refrain is repeating the line, the same line, repetition of the same line in the poem to give the emphasis on that particular idea or the question that poet wants to throw, poet wants to ask, poet is curious to know or wants to know the answer from the readers or probably from himself. So this is the refrain which is being used here. And one more thing, when two contradictory ideas are coming together or the opposite words are also coined together, then it is known as antithesis. Antithes. Antithesis is also a kind of figure of speech. Why I am telling you? Because these are two new figure of speeches which has come in class 11th in your text, and you have to know it. You should know all those new things which are coming in our way. So the second paragraph we are starting. When did my childhood go? Was it the time I realized that adults were not all they seemed to be? Now, it's a very big thing the poet is sharing with us. He says, probably when I have understood the real fact or reality that all the adults seems to be little different from what they say. It means he wants to say that this world, the adult world, is hypocritic. This adult world is very superficial and not very much realistic, not very much truthful. What they say is different from what they do. So probably that is there when I have developed this understanding about the adults thinking. Then I actually have lost my childhood, because child actually doesn't understand what is real and what is imagination. Whatever you say is they rely on us blindly, and that blind faith is childhood. That blind trust is childhood. So he says that childhood is a place, childhood is a stage when we don't realize these kind of complexities, these kind of duality in the nature that adults do have in them. So they talked of love, especially the adults. They whenever we speak with any one of the grown up knowledgeable person, they speak about love, they speak about good things, they preach us a lot about spiritualism, about good things, about good deeds. But in their real life, or in real sense, they themselves probably not following that path that they are preaching or teaching. So that is very much ironical. So he very much straightforwardly saying here that that is how I realized the truth of life, that adults are not what they seems to be, and that is how I lost my childhood. They talked of love and preached of love. Preached means spoken about something, but did not act so lovingly. Was that the day? So probably that was the day when I realized that adults are all superficial, they are very much unrealistic, and that is how I lost my childhood, when I understood their hypocrisy. Third stanza. When did my childhood go? Was it when I found my mind was really mine, to use whichever way I chose, producing thoughts that were not those of other people, but my own and mine alone? Was that the day? Now again, think of a child when you were a child. Every step was directed, every step was guided, every step was mastered by your elders. Slowly or gradually, then you think about your journey from childhood to adulthood. You have developed a kind of vision, you have developed a kind of understanding towards doing things, and then you started progressing towards the things very independently. So firstly you were dependent when you were a child, and then gradually you become independent, more maturely handling all kinds of problems and sorting out your paths, about seeking about your own doubts, and taking your own choices in your life, decisions in your life. And then you do not require the support of elders anymore. So you have developed the individuality. In short, you have developed the individuality, you have developed a big pragmatic approach towards your doings, towards your choices. And he said that was the day when I had have lost my childhood. I hope you understood this idea. Very interesting idea. So your mind actually works with your own choices and with your own set opinions. You are not working on others opinion, otherwise you have all set your own decisions. You have gathered your decisive power and taking your decisions. Last stanza. Where did my childhood go? It went to some forgotten place. Now see, in the whole particular poem, we have seen that question is the same, and he was approaching the different directions to tell us that these were the times when I have probably lost my childhood. But at the end, he said, my childhood has gone to a forgotten place that's hidden in an infant's face. That's all I know. Now he says that I don't know the real answer about this question. This question is really puzzling for me. But whenever I see one innocent face of an infant, a newborn, I think that my childhood has transformed into that particular smile that infant is giving to me. So he comes to a conclusion at the end of the poem that the childhood probably is a transferable thing. It goes from generation to generation, face to face, and it is hidden in some innocent smile of an infant's face, and it has gone to some forgotten place. So this was the whole poem that we have read, and I did the explanations. There was no as such difficult words which are there in the poem. Only two, three important things to remember, that there are alliterations, there are antithesis, alliteration, repetition of sounds, and then we have one refrain also. So he told in the last that there's a cyclic process, that where it leaves from one person and goes to other person. He depicts the reality of childhood innocence gradually transforming into adult rationality and individuality. So three important concepts: individuality, rationalism, and hypocrisy. Very beautiful poem, and I really loved it while I have discussed with you. I hope you understood the idea. Now there are 3 to 4 important questions which are given in your text. Question number 1 tells us, identify the stanza that talks of each of the following: individuality, rationalism, and hypocrisy. I have told you one by one. Okay, so now I want you to read it and mark the stanza that tells us about these 3 concepts. If you have any kind of problem, please come to me during the doubt session. Question number 2. What according to the poem is involved in the process of growing up? So there are several things he mentioned in the poem that are involved in growing up process, that is rational thinking, pragmatic thinking, hypocrisy, individuality, then also understanding of love, and then also taking the own decisions, taking your own choices in life. This is the process of growing up, when you actually has a clear concept of hell and heaven. You know what is good and what is bad. You are not dependent on others. There are several things which we can mention in the answer. I hope you are clear with this idea. Question number 3. What is the poet's feeling towards childhood? So he is little sad of losing his childhood. Anyways, it's a feeling of loss is very much prominent in the poem. That's why he's asking every time the question to us, and he's giving us this particular idea that childhood is very pious. It's very pure. It is away from all kinds of impurities that are there in adult's life or that are there in this worldly life. So we were not worldly wise when we used to be a child, but then we gradually develop all those rationalism and knowledge in us and wisdom in us, and then we become little bit mature to handle our problems. So last question, what do you think are the most poetic lines and why? The most poetic lines are, was it when I found my mind was really mine? So very nice line which I have found it poetic, because M word is repeating, alliteration is there, and then mine is going with the word there's alliteration also in this particular line. There's question and then there's an answer, so possibly a good rhyming scheme also, and the rhyming scheme of the poem is ABBCCD. So you can gather that poetic line which has this rhyming scheme and give the answer. Dear students, you have to complete your notes. Okay, you have to write about the complete summary of the poem, thematic appreciation you can say, or the theme you can say, and tell me about your doubts. Ask your doubts during doubt session. I hope you enjoyed this session. I love the way we are there with each other, and we really have to work hard to get good results. I know you people at last will work hard with me and prove your real worth. Thank you. Have a nice day. Stay safe and stay happy.